right, welcome to another edition of OnsideSA. Well, the league has started. Last one standing has dropped a lot of people. And Budge, before we speak to our London pundit, just it happens every year. The first game, someone drops it. Man United, Liverpool. I've got the teams that Liverpool shocked to most people. 178 went out. Budge. Man United, 59. At home, Leicester City 36, Aston Villa 10, Wolves 4, Brentford 3, Everton 1, Fulham 1, and West Ham 1.
Yeah, Paul. Obviously, Liverpool was. We didn't see that coming.
No,
I know Stevie did it. He was at the game, but Paul has always 1 or 2 smashes first round. I don't like it starting first round, but. Yeah, that's the advantage of
getting rid of people.
It was tough, yeah.
Yeah, well, you don't need a feeler. You got to go in rough. You play the course without a practice.
Yeah, okay.
People to note from picks in round 1. Larry and Mark Weinstein picked Bournemouth.
Jeez, Paul, brilliant pick.
Brilliant pick.
Especially at the odds, Paul. You know, that's the pick of the week is odds related.
So that's
well
pick
done
of the
to
week.
Mark
Well done to them. And then, is it Grant Holmes?
Grant Holmes,
5 out of 5, 3 teams. That's very good.
Yeah. Okay.
And Mark McDonald, is that our man?
That's our man, Marty Mack. Yeah.
Marty Mack, 3 teams, 5 out of 5.
Paul, there were several guys that were 100% record, but some guys used 1 team, some used 2.
Yes.
So I gave credit to the guys that had used 3 teams. So well done to the guys.
Well done to them. Now we've got, I just want to run through the girls, because the girls are getting...
35 ladies, Paul.
35 is getting bigger and bigger. So I'll just run through them quickly for them. Marilyn Georgia, Tracy Nell, Yvonne Borenser, correct me if I'm wrong, Melissa Borenser, Natalie Derego.
Yeah, she's in Canada. Yeah.
Bianca Coote, Catherine Armstrong. She's always a concern, Catherine. Maria Costa, Pauline Young, Carlos Quintas, she's involved a lot. Zoe Muir, Taylor Muir, Raquel Quintas, Dora Roussos, Carol Whitehead, she's always in the scrum, Rene Roos, Georgia Harito and Karine Harito, and then the other page, Julie Asher, Barbara Anderson, Harriet Sneyman, Marlene Laveau, Kelly Potts, Amy Lafferty, Janice Lafferty, Holly Lafferty, Tennille Werners, Montana Werners, Zoe Kirsten, Ashley Berger, Chantal Matthew, Michelle Tovey, she's always in the scrum, Tanya Radford, Tanya Radford, Corin McManus.
Yeah, Michael's wife,
Stacey Dan.
Yeah, and then Sue and Blair Miller, Willie's.
Fantastic.
Family,
Now, the previous guys who carried through, Gary Citron and Alan Costa, they both go through a game because they had Aston Villa and Man United.
Yeah, Paul, you know, as the rules are, we play till there is a winner, and that's how it is. Paul, just mention, having spoken to Chris Wheeler, the guy who sorted everything out, he did mention the person that comes second, they'll get a R3,500 sporting voucher to donate to a school or a church of their choice, but obviously it has to be sporting goods. There's going to be no money given to.
That's
so
wonderful.
A great initiative, and obviously we do have the ladies' prize as well.
Gary Green, Decoy Doug.
Goal again,
All right, we're going to get hold of our man Stevie B in London, and Stevie, are you on the line?
I'm on the line. Good morning.
Morning, Stevie. We've got a great photo to show you.
And you and Mark Abood before the Fulham game.
You, Mark and Julia Abood.
Yeah, that was a selfie I took when I met them outside the ground.
Okay, and Mark took it quite well, the result.
No, I'm very happy with the way. It wasn't just the result, it was the way we played.
Yeah.
And I think that's given us a little bit of confidence that we can, we definitely seem to raise our game. And it was as good as anything that we played throughout most of last season. And you need to be. It is a step up. There's no question.
The ground was too dry.
Can you believe it?
Yeah, I'm not quite sure about that because it gets watered. It was being watered very heavily before the game. But look, obviously he was disappointed, Klopp, and whatever the reasons are, the bottom line is they didn't play as well as I'm sure they will throughout most of the season. But we took advantage.
Phil, I was say that Stevie, keep those photos coming. Any games you go to, just send us the odd photo. It's always good to catch up, especially, I don't think you'll see Mark and Julia Abood with you because they're Liverpool people, but keep them coming, Steve.
Steve, UEFA Super Cup last night, did you watch it?
So highlights. I didn't have it live on, but yeah, look, no surprise with the result. And Benzema is, now takes Raul as the second highest Real Madrid scorer in history, a long way behind Ronaldo. But he's, for somebody who I think that a few years ago thought that he might get replaced, he's carried on and he's having a purple patch in the twilight of his career.
Yeah, no doubt. Steve, onto the transfer. I see Fulham signed a player during the last couple of days.
Yeah, they signed Issa Diop from West Ham, 15 million. So he was very highly rated when a lot of clubs were after him. Went to West Ham. He was a regular in the side, but he doesn't seem to have featured much in the last year or so. He's dropped down the pecking order for David Moyes. He's only 25, and he's big, strong, scores goals as well from the back. So it's a sort of central defender that we need. So I think people are quite pleased about that.
All right, Steve, on to the weekend. We kick off Saturday lunchtime. Aston Villa, who I fancied last week, who are woeful against Bournemouth, against an Everton side who I see have signed Connor Cody, but are lacking a striker.
Where did they get him from? Wolves?
No. On Wolves on loan. How do you see that going?
Yeah, I mean the whole Connor Cody thing, it just seemed to come out of the blue. Yeah. I mean, he was, it wasn't that long ago. You'd have thought he was one of the first names on the team sheet. So, understanding he's fallen out with Bruno Lage a little bit. I think with Cody and Tarkowski, I think Everton have got a couple of really solid defenders there. Yeah. Now, as you say, at the other end, they've got striking problems because with having lost Richarlison and Calvert-Lewin injured, you don't know where the goals are going to come from. And that was certainly evident last week against Chelsea. So, I think defensively they'll be stronger, but I don't think they'll score the goals. Villa were disappointing last week, there's no question, but I just have a feeling that they'll bounce back. I think it'll be Villa, but very close.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Now, Arsenal, impressive 2-0 win at Crystal Palace. I can't believe Leicester City threw away a 2-goal lead at home against Brentford. Easy pickings for Arsenal?
I think so. I think Arteta's obviously got them playing with a bit confidence. They were worthy winners last Friday at Crystal Palace. Leicester will be disappointed. 2-0 up and seemingly on top to give it away. There's still a little bit of unrest at Leicester because there seems to be a lot of talk of players leaving and no big names coming in. Yeah. Obviously, Chelsea are after Fofana. With a world record bid for a defender. Tielemans might go. Maddison might go. So it's a little unsettling for them. I think the Arsenal, though.
Yeah, I totally agree. The next game should be a good game.
Should be a very good game.
Two teams that had great results on the weekend. I don't see Brighton getting beat. How do you see it, Steve?
Yeah, I mean, they for the first hour, they were totally on top at United. Thought they played pretty well. They're not always as strong at home. We know that their away record is good, but they play some good football, and I think they will be hard to beat. Obviously, losing Cucurella, I think was a shame for them. Yeah. And whether they'll spend some of that money, but I think I wouldn't be surprised if maybe they get a point at home at the weekend.
Yeah, I guarantee. I think the draw's the favourite, even though the betting suggests otherwise. Man City, really impressive. Should be too good for Bournemouth, surely.
You would think so, but the results are crazy, aren't they? Bournemouth 40-1 in a two-horse race. You'd expect Man City to win comfortably. Erling Haaland obviously announced his debut in the Premier League, and he looks he's, for a big guy, he's got this incredible sort of turn of speed, which created and made the goals. Yeah. I think they'll win comfortably, personally.
I think I saw 12-1 an Erling Haaland hat-trick, and now he takes penalties.
He's very, very quick.
Yeah, very quick.
He had that at West Ham 5 metres, and he was onside, sure.
I don't know where the defenders were, especially when it came to picking up Kevin De Bruyne, but still, I don't think Bournemouth will win a corner, let alone get a point. Steve, the next game, I'm worried about Southampton. I know Spurs fans are going crazy, and quite rightly so, but disappointed in how they defended against a Leeds team who sneaked it at home against Wolves. How do you see it?
Yeah.
Steve, sorry to interrupt you, Steve. Just quickly, I want to clear something up. What was the Leeds and Wolves manager dispute about at full time?
you know, whether or not, you know, they've been sort of goading each other a little bit during the game. You know, I'm not quite sure why. I mean, there wasn't anything that happened at the end. You know, maybe
passions.
You know, the Leeds manager might have sort of got a bit overexcited at the end. But look, you know, it's good team managers get fired up and show a bit of passion. That's what you want, you know, from a young manager. But going to the game, you know, Tottenham won comfortably, but Southampton, you know, to me, haven't really strengthened. And I think unless they bring some players in, I think they're in for a very difficult season. So I wouldn't be at all surprised. And Leeds still got players out injured. Wouldn't be at all surprised if Leeds hold.
Yeah, I think a draw looks a definite player, but just keep backing James Ward-Prowse to score. He was 5-1 last week. If someone's going to score, it's going to be him. He shoots from corners, he takes the penalties as well. But I agree, Southampton, you just never know. But the draw looks a player. On to the second page, we mentioned Wolves. Wolves against your Fulham. Can you sneak another result?
Good.
Well, I mean, I'd be happy with another point. Wolves have just brought a new player in. You know, they're still without sort of Jimenez, which, and you know, there's a possibility that Traore is out still. It will be a tough game, but it'll be an interesting test because obviously to see whether we can play at the same sort of level and intensity as we did throughout the game against Liverpool. You know, we haven't got a terrible record up there, but I would be unhappy with the point, in all honesty.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how Cody's missing it at the back four, because he was the anchor man in that defence. So maybe they go to a 4 as opposed to a 3. So yeah, I think a point, but I think you've got a tough task to get a victory, Steve. But a point, I think, is well within your grasp. Now, I can't believe the next betting. Man United even money against anybody. The way they're playing, or the trouble in the camp. Steve, this has got all upset written all over it for me. How do you see it?
Yeah, look, I mean, Brentford came back strongly. They signed another Danish player, Damsgaard, although he was injured a lot last year. We know from the Euros he's got quality. Look, whether Ten Hag is going to get, you know, United playing for 90 minutes as they did maybe in the last 30, when at least they got hold of the ball and took the game to them. I'm not sure United will lose. I think they'll do enough. There wasn't, in that first hour, there was no cutting at all. I think that's a worry. And the other thing, obviously, as we know, is they seem to be struggling to recruit the quality players they need. You know, this is, you know, being out of the Champions League is hurting them not just financially, but recruitment-wise. So I think you know, it's going to be a big atmosphere. Brentford will be up for it. I have a feeling United might hold them, but you know, this is the sort of game a year or two ago you'd have said, you know, nailed on United win, but I don't think you can at the moment. Yeah,
both teams to score 8.5 to 10, empty out. United obviously look like scoring while we concede every match. The next game, I fancy West Ham big time. I was disappointed in their performance against Man City, even though it was Man City. Notts Forest, I don't agree with signing 11, 12 players, as you'll know from Fulham's last venture.
They got another one. They bought another one.
Another one.
They've signed another one.
I fancy West Ham to rebound, Steve. How do you see it?
I mean, West Ham, it was hard to sort of gauge too much how they're going to do against City, because City obviously with Haaland. I think Skika is going to become their main man. You know, they bought him, they paid 30 million for him to stay on the bench, and he looked quite strong when he came on. I think you're right. I think this is probably not a bad time to play Forest. They've got a lot of new players they have to bed in. And you know, it takes time, as we found ourselves when we came up 4 years ago. So I think if you're looking at all, I think 2 probably West Ham. Yeah.
Now the next game's a big game of the weekend. Chelsea, Tottenham. I fancy Spurs. I know Paul fancy Spurs against anybody, but I was impressed with what I saw, and I also wasn't impressed with what I saw from Chelsea. If ever Tottenham are going to prove the contenders, this is the weekend. Paul, I'll ask you first. I know you're staunch.
Okay, to me, I'll take a draw now. Call the game off. Let me give you my record against them.
No, but that's...
We played them 4 times last season. We lost all 4. 4 times. Last time we beat them, 2018. The time before that, 2008. We don't beat Chelsea. Believe me, I would not put 1 rand on Tottenham. Well, they can sign 40 players. We don't beat Chelsea.
I've just watched Chelsea last week, Steve, before I come to you. They are woeful. Werner's gone back to RB Leipzig. They just don't look like scoring. You know, Everton, with all due respect, had nobody, but if Dele Alli had been sharp, he would have scored. This, I fancy Spurs.
Well, I hope you're right, Budge, but sure,
I know obviously history says no, but this isn't the same Spurs team that played last year.
What does Steve say?
Steve? And so you're going to pick a draw?
As Paul said, Tottenham have a shocking record against Chelsea. Again, this is probably as time to play them because, you know, Tuchel is still bringing players. You know, after a number, you know, are in a state of flux as to who the best 11 are. Yeah. And I think, you know, Tottenham must go there with I know it's a huge game and Chelsea fans are always up for it as well. But I think of the two, you have to think Tottenham would be favourites. Yeah,
I fancy Tottenham. Just on what I've seen, I know it was last week they got a couple of goals for nothing, but I don't fancy Chelsea. And 18-10, Spurs to score over 1.5 goals. Get on. Last but not least, Monday night, 9 o'clock. The odds say Liverpool 1-5. They should win. Palace, I thought, played quite well against Arsenal on Friday. A couple of chances to equalise. But at Liverpool, you'd expect them to rebound, Steve.
Yeah, I think that you know, this is a game that they have to win. They can't afford to start dropping too many points early on and find they're playing catch up against City, for example. So Palace haven't got a bad record up there in recent years. They've caused 1 or 2 upsets, but I think I'd be very surprised if Nunes doesn't start. I mean, he looks dangerous when he comes on. So I think that he obviously decided to rest Nunes and played Firmino, but I'd be very surprised if it's not the other way around. And I think that Liverpool should win that by a couple of goals at least.
Yeah, I agree. He has to start. Just worry if that's going to take several goals away from Mo Salah. But I see Thiago's out for 6 weeks. I think that's going to affect him creativity-wise.
Yeah.
But totally agree, Steve. It's got to be Liverpool. On to the Championship, Steve. Big game on Friday night. I'm interested to see what your brother thinks about Watford. Burnley have been impressed. They play football. Vincent Kompany's got them going. 4 points from 6 games. I hope this game's on.
This will be a good game.
Unknown reason, the Championship's disappeared on ESPN. What do you think?
We've got it on. Well, we've got it on Sky. So there's actual 3 games are all on TV. Look, at this moment in time, they've still got their big names. I mean, Sarr, who scored from like 50 yards the other night, and they've still got Dennis they got Dennis still for the moment. But as you say, Burnley have blooded some young players, and they've played very well. I think Watford will start as favourites, but I think it'll be close.
Good game.
It'll be a close game.
Yeah, I think it'll be a good game. I saw like 9-10 both teams to score. If it's on, I'll have a nibble on that. Saturday lunchtime, Steve, Cardiff City, good victory over Norwich the first game, but woeful against a struggling Reading team. Birmingham was started well. I think Troy Deeney must be taking the training, 4 points from 2 games. How do you see it going?
Deeney.
Still at Birmingham,
Yeah, I mean, I was surprised that Cardiff lost very well against Norwich. At home, I think they'll be stronger at home. Yeah. I mean, Birmingham have surprised me with the sort of upheaval, and they haven't got a big squad. But I still fancy Cardiff. I think Cardiff will still be too strong at home.
Okie dokie. Blackpool, another team that's strong at home, got beat 2-0 at Stoke last week against a Swansea team who got destroyed by Blackburn 3-0 at home. How do you see it going?
Yeah, Swansea, a real surprise. That I thought they'd start much stronger than they have. Blackpool are good at home. I mean, I wouldn't be at all surprised if Blackpool get something from this game. Swansea, again, they lost during the week
the League Cup.
Having led, they lost They lost badly. So in the end, so I fancy Blackpool just to edge it.
Just to let you know that the Welsh Modric is signed for them. Joe Allen. That's the Modric of Wales. He's signed for them, so he's expected to start. Now, the next game, Huddersfield-Stoke. Stoke's my each-way value, or value bet of the weekend. I can't believe the 18-10. I watched Huddersfield against Burnley. Remember you telling me, Steve, they've lost...
Birmingham.
Huddersfield got beat 2-1. And they've lost both games. They got beat by Preston midweek in the League Cup. But they made several changes. Even Troy Parrott scored for us. I fancy Stoke, Steve. How do you see it?
Yeah, I think of the. I mean, again, it shows you. I mean, Huddersfield had a fantastic season last season, but just losing those key players and not replacing them, it just thrown them out. And they had a bad result. I know both teams rested some players, but they had a bad result against your boys. I think of the two, you're right. Stoke will bounce back after that defeat for opening defeat at Millwall, and I think that Stoke will be too strong of the two.
Yeah, I just think, losing a manager too, I think it was Carlos Corberon. He was trying to get a job in Spain. He did a great job. And I just think losing him as well. I just can't have Huddersfield. Stoke all the way for me. On to the next game. A team that's disappointed me because I've had a couple of rand on them both times is Norwich. That 1-1 draw at home against Wigan last week. Can they rebound at Hull City?
Well, I mean, I think you're right. I think Norwich were all the pundits' favourites to win the league, and they've really stuttered to start with. You're not sure what you're going to get with Hull. They had an opening day win, a bit disappointing last week. I fancy the two. I think Norwich will bounce back, but they certainly haven't taken the division by storm as people thought they would.
Yeah, totally agree. On to the next page, Luton against Preston. I remember fancying us last time we went down there. They destroyed us. I think they beat us 4-0 or 4-1. Luton, poor start, but...
Preston haven't scored yet.
We haven't scored, haven't conceded either. We scored a couple last night. Troy Parrott finally scored instead of missing runaways. As a Preston boy, I'd take another point, Steve. I don't see us winning at Luton. What's your call on the game?
I think you're right. I think that, I think you could do enough to hold Luton, but, Luton at home, as we know from last season, are pretty strong. And, they haven't really got going yet, but I do fancy Luton of the two. Yeah. So, unfortunately, if I have to go for a result, I think I'll probably go for a close Luton home win.
Yeah, I agree. I fancy Luton of the two teams. Now, Millwall, always hard to beat at the Den against the Coventry team, who I nearly put my balance on the account last night in the League Cup. But I saw their team. They had two players that played the opening game, so thankfully I didn't press click on the bet. They were 3-0 down after half an hour. I see they got beat. I expect a decent performance from them here, Steve. I don't see Millwall losing, but I think this will be a closer game than the betting.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting that Championship managers are resting most of their players in the League Cup. But Coventry didn't play last week because their ground was unfit for use. So they haven't played since the opening game. And I think, although Millwall lost last week, they were very strong at home to Stoke in the first game. Yeah. I think if I was to plump the one, I would probably plump for Millwall. Yeah. Just because I think that they are strong at the new Den.
Yeah, totally agree on that. Now, Rotherham against Reading. Rotherham drew the first game. They didn't play last week. Obviously, the pitch got postponed. Reading had a good result last week. How do you see that one going?
Yeah, I mean, Rotherham, again, they've got a point at home in the opening game, but haven't played in the league since. I know that I feel they're going to struggle because obviously they haven't replaced their two strikers that they sold. Reading, the bad opening week, but then came back quite strongly last week. If there was to be a winner, I'd probably go for Reading. Okie dokie.
Now, second top of the league, Sunderland, after I didn't think they could win last week, but they beat Bristol City 3-2 away, hosting a QPR team. Now, I spoke to a good mate of our show, Neil Horsman, a man that Paul grew up with. He was at the game. He's a QPR fan, and he said they were 3-0 up, but before half-time, the tide came in. He said Middlesbrough had a player sent off. It was one-way traffic, and they were very lucky to get the 3 points. I think there's goals in this game, Steve. Which way are you siding?
Yeah, I think for me, at home, I'd probably plump for Sunderland. QPR, they say, as you say, they had a good win against Borough, but I saw some highlights and Borough were totally on top in the second half. Yeah. But so I think of the two, I fancy Sunderland. Had a decent start. I mean, they lost last night in the League Cup.
Yeah, Sheffield Wednesday.
Sheffield Wednesday. But again, they're all resting players, so it's difficult to judge. But I think it's a decent start for Sunderland. 4 points from 2 games. I think they'll be favourites and probably just edge it.
Yeah, I think I saw 12-10 over 2.5 goals, so we've already gone that way. Now, Wigan, great result at Norwich last week. They drew 0-0 against Preston home the week before. Bristol City, Impressive victory last night. Steve, to me, there's goals guaranteed when Bristol City play. Yeah. But which way would you side if you had to have a bet?
I mean, I think Wigan, again, one of these yo-yo teams, they haven't strengthened. I think they're going to find it a lot tougher this season. And Bristol, although I was surprised they lost at home to Sunderland, the game could have gone either way. Yeah. They bounced back with the big win in the League Cup. I fancy Bristol to go there and get a result.
Yeah, I just think goals just over, yeah. Now the next, these are Sunday games, and I hope we've got them on as much as I doubt we will. All 4 teams could be involved in the playoffs. Middlesbrough against Sheffield United, big game, Steve.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Middlesbrough were beaten at home by Barnsley last night in the League Cup. Yeah. Again, rusty players. They'll be disappointed losing that game at QPR. Sheffield United bounced back and had a good result, beat Millwall. I think the 2 teams will be there or thereabouts. I fancy Borough to edge it, but a draw wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's goals in that. And last but not least, I hope this game is on, because these are the 2 teams I've enjoyed watching. Blackburn Rovers against West Brom. Blackburn, great result, going to Swansea, winning 3-0. West Brom, even though they drew with Watford at home, they've looked good in the 2 games I've seen. I think goals are certainty here, Steve. Either result wouldn't surprise me, but how do you see it?
Yeah, I mean, Blackburn warmed up with a 4-0 win last night against Hollywood in the League Cup. Played a fair, strong team. And they've had a really good start, a much better start than I think people thought, as they sort of fell away quite badly at the end of last season. They've kept
Brereton,
forwards intact. They lost a couple of players, having lost sort of Rothwell and Lenihan. I think people thought they'd struggle, but actually, Bradley Datt back from injury. Brereton, it hasn't been sold, and I think a lot of people thought he might. So I think with the 2, I fancy Blackburn at home.
Yeah, I think it'll be a good, Steve Bruce teams, they always have a go. Steve Bruce is with West Brom, although a little bit stiff against West Brom, against Watford, even though they did miss a penalty, Watford. Steve, pressure time again. Who's your best bet and value bet?
Yeah, it's a tough one on my best bet. I'm going to go for Sunderland. I just think at home with another near 40,000 crowd, I think they're going to be too strong for QPR. And the value bet, I'm going to go for Bristol City. In my mind, they should start as favourites. I think that's a decent odds for them to get a result. All
right, Steve, I'm on West Ham and Stoke City. Those are my 2 punts for the weekend. But
there's our man Stevie on the screen.
There you go. Just tell the bird to go further back next time, especially after a 2-2 draw. So, but Steve, thanks again, and we'll liaise with you over the weekend.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Steve.
All the best, Steve.
All the best, Steve.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Alrighty, there we go. That's Stevie B. His son Daniel's actually looking after my house in the UK.
Okay, so there'll be a few parties there? Or?
Yeah, Daniel's level-headed.
Yeah.
But he's looking after the cats
and
everything.
Good.
Right, PSL, midweek results
Paul,
are very
important. I've watched quite a few games. Paul, I watched all 3 games on Tuesday and one last night. I don't know who this is trying to get hold of me, but...
it's what's his name? Hunt.
Gavin Hunt.
Hunt. Okay, let's start just the results. Kaiser Chiefs, too good for Maritzburg?
Paul, 3-0. Really, in first 20 minutes, like the old Chiefs and I did. Then they went into a bit of a don't get beat, and they scored late, 3-0. Paul slowly coming right. Defensively, a little bit of a worry, but attacking-wise, they look good. Young man Dupree scored his first goal. Happy for the youngster. Yeah.
Now, Swallows, late penalty.
Paul, it's the best game I've seen in the PSL for ages. 2-0 up, 2-2.
Yeah, Cape City a good side.
They brought the centre Mark, the youngster that used to play at Amazulu, made a tackle, didn't see the guy, 3-2. Superb game. Dylan was going berserk in the stand,
Richards Bay, no score with
terrible game. I don't know what pitch. They played at Mlazi, the pitch is terrible. Bumpy as hell in 0-0.
That's not a good pitch.
Shocking.
But Amazulu,
2-1, 1-0 down. Came back to win 2-1,
Yeah, very good. Sundowns got beat.
Paul, couldn't believe it. Yeah, they played at Loftus. So, playing on these rugby pitches, the bump and their last Paul, they just couldn't get it right. Couple of chances, but TS Galaxy, great result for them.
Where TS Galaxy based?
They're in, I think it's in Bombela. I think they're there.
Out that way. Stellenbosch held Pirates.
Yeah, 1-0. I saw the goal of Pirates. Great header. 1-1, yeah.
Then Golden Arrows got
struggling,
beat.
Paul. They can't defend. They're in trouble this year, Arrows. Lost their first 2 games. Sekukuna beat them 1-0.
And Royal AM marching on.
Paul, they're a good team. Paul, they made some good signings.
They're based in Chatsworth.
They're the Chatsworth side. 2 wins, beat Chiefs. Went to Cape Town, beat Chipper.
All right, let's have a look at the games coming up. Maritzburg United, Swallows. Now, Swallows have started well.
Hey, Paul, you know, there's 22-10 is a great price if they could defend, but they can't defend. So, you know, both teams to score, I saw 12-10, but we've backed Swallows to score over 1.5 goals at 22-10, Paul. Okay. They're going to have to score 2 goals to win, because defensively they're woeful. Maritzburg fought hard against Chiefs, Paul. Yes, the only thing is they played away from the back and they gave Chiefs 2 silly goals. Yeah. And there were no way back, but goals there.
Goals given away when teams play from the back in any league. It's frustrating. Managers, supporters.
Terrible. One bad decision, bang.
Stellenbosch got a tough one here.
Tough one. Royal are a good team, Paul. Yeah, they had a good season last year. They were second for a long time and fell out of it late. Stellenbosch work hard. Steve Barker's still there. Good point last night in the rain against Pirates. Paul, a draw in Royal AM for me.
Sundowns Chiefs, good game.
Good game, Paul. I'll be watching this. I fancy Sundowns, Paul. Looked like last night they were going through the motions, knowing Chiefs. Chiefs played great. I just don't know if they can go out there and beat them. What they will do is, like Spurs did to Man City, play on the break with Son, and they'll do the same with Dupree. Should be a good game, Paul.
Good player, Dupree.
Yeah, I like him, Paul. Like a young Calvin Peterson, but he's got to start scoring. Yes. But a nice youngster. But I fancy Sundowns, Paul. Big games, they don't get beat.
Maruma.
Oh, Paul, if ever there's a game got 0-0 written all over it, it's this one. Okay. You know, Maruma Gallas, a lot of, like Morocco, remember they had all those small guys, they just can't score. Yeah. So we'll see, but a draw looks 18-10. That looks nailed on in this weekend.
Richards Bay, Paul, even money to beat.
I don't see them beating
United.
Sekakuna, Paul.
Sorry?
A draw's a player again, a draw in Sekakuna. Richards Bay, even money, not for me, Paul. Playing at Tumlazi, terrible bumpy pitch. It's going to be an up and under game, but a draw for me there, Paul.
They haven't conceded yet, Richards Bay.
They haven't conceded. They should have conceded the other day, but anyway, good start for them.
Amazulu right up there early. Cape Town City must feel a little aggrieved off that Swallows game, so this will be a humdinger.
This will be a good game, Paul. 12-10, both teams to score. I think it's a gift. It's at Moses Mabhida. Amazulu, they say they've got a good chance to win the league this year, according to, other than Sundowns, according to the pundits and the guys I speak to. Cape Town City, Tinkler was puking. 2-0 down, come back to 2-2. They're good to watch.
Penalty,
Class minute. Mark, I think it was Mark van Vuren, Mark the left back.
Mark my words.
Mark my words. Yeah, he won't be playing this week, that's for sure. But Paul, I think that's the humdinger. That could go either way.
Orlando Pirates, Chipper United.
Well, I think Pirates, Chipper, good start when they drew at Super Sport, but then they got beat last night at Royal AM. Pirates, nice to team watch, but they just don't score goals, Paul, but I think they'll win.
Okay, and then TS Galaxy against
great result. You know, Gavin 1-0 up and they threw it away. It's not like Gavin's team to concede too many goals, but you just never know. But TS Galaxy played great last night. You just don't know whether they'll be celebrating for a day or two. Yeah. You know, because you beat Sundowns, then you've got to come at home against Super Sport, different
game for Gavin.
But Gavin's got to pick his game up. They need more goals. But draw a player for me there.
But give me your thinking.
Yeah, Paul, we kick off with a Gold Circle Soccer 6, and I'm banking Arsenal to beat Leicester. I'm going the field in the Brighton-Newcastle game. I think Man City will be too strong for Bournemouth. I'm going Southampton, win and draw at home against Leeds, as well as Wolves, win and draw at home against Fulham. And I don't trust Man United, so I'm going the field in the Brentford-Man United fixture, 2-1-6. On to the Phumelela Soccer 6, I'm banking Sundowns to beat Kaizer Chiefs. I'm going Maruma Gallas, win and draw at home against Golden Arrows. I don't see Royal AM losing at Stellenbosch. I think Brighton Hove Albion will avoid defeat at home against Newcastle United. I'm chancing Sekakuna United, win and draw against Richards Bay. And I think Amazulu Cape Town City could go either way, but I've sided with Amazulu of the two sides, 1-9-2. Okay. On to our Gold Circle Soccer 10, I'm going Aston Villa, win and draw against Everton. Cardiff City, win and draw at home against Birmingham City. I'm banking Arsenal to beat Leicester. Going the field in the Brighton versus Newcastle match. Man City should be too strong at home for Bournemouth. Onto the second page, I'm going Southampton, win and draw against Leeds United. Wolverhampton Wanderers, win and draw against Fulham. Taking the easy way out, going the field in the Brentford versus Man United fixture, and ending up with two bankers. AC Milan to beat Udinese and Barcelona to beat Rayo Vallecano, 288. On to the Soccer 13, I'm going Brentford, win and draw against Man United. Banking Arsenal to beat Leicester. Man City to beat Bournemouth. Brighton Hove Albion, win and draw at home against Newcastle United. Leeds United to avoid defeat at Southampton. I think a game that'll be a draw. I'm banking Wolves to beat Fulham. Queen's Park Rangers to avoid defeat at Sunderland. Onto the second page, I'm going Blackpool win and draw at home against Swansea. I'm going for Stoke City to win at Huddersfield Town. Norwich City to win at Hull City. Chancing Millwall to win at home against Coventry City. Luton Town win and draw at home against Preston North End. And I don't see Reading losing at Rotherham United 256. On to our Budgie's bets for the weekend. I'm going Arsenal to beat Leicester and both teams to score yes. I'm going over 2.5 goals and both teams to score no in the Man City Bournemouth game. I don't see Bournemouth scoring, so Man City 3-4-0 is 11-10. I think that's a gift, and I think West Ham United will beat Notts Forest on Sunday, 2,300 to 200.
Okay.
On to our Premiership team goals only. I'm going for Aston Villa, Arsenal, West Ham and Tottenham Hotspur, all to score over 1.5 goals, 2,700 to 200. On to the Championship, where I'm going Stoke City to beat Huddersfield Town and over 2.5 goals in the Hull Norwich City, Wigan Bristol City and Blackburn West Brom clashes, 4,000 to 200. Yeah, Paul, I just don't see many. It's hard, the Championship this weekend. Both teams to score sides in the Championship are Sunderland QPR, Wigan Bristol, Middlesbrough Sheffield United and Blackburn West Brom, 2,000 to 200. On to the PSL, where I'm going Morocco Swallows to score over 1.5 goals against Maritzburg United on Friday. Mamelodi Sundowns to beat Chiefs and both teams to score in the Amazulu Cape Town City game, 2,400 to 200. And Akolis King, 6 on Ixa. I'm going Arsenal to beat Leicester, Man City to beat Bournemouth, West Ham to beat Notts Forest, Liverpool to beat Crystal Palace, Stoke City to beat Huddersfield Town, and Mamelodi Sundowns to beat Kaizer Chiefs. 17.5 to 1, 3,500 to 200.
They look like they're all going to win. One will get beat, but they look like they're all going to win.
Well, the first round is always difficult with draws and that teams don't want to get beat. But second week, things improve. So
yeah, they start coming through. Well, that's it. Until next time, stay on side.